Hello, Chulai. Hello, Daniel.
Hello, Ian. How are
Hello,
you?
Ian.
I'm very well, thank you. As you can see, at time of this recording, I'm not in my studio.
Where are you?
Yeah. I'm in a town called Bicester, which is
Okay.
in sort of South Oxfordshire or Mid Oxfordshire. Um, yeah, we've just come out to do a bit of essential shopping for my mother-in-law, and yeah, I'm just enjoying the wonderful weather around.
I know the
Actually,
summer has arrived finally.
the week that we didn't have the last week of August, we're enjoying it now in the first week of
Yeah,
September.
just as the school starts. I bet you're so happy
Yeah.
about that, Daniel.
Yeah, it's just great.
It's just great going but you don't have to wear a school uniform anymore, do you?
No, so I went in shorts and t-shirt today.
Oh, great.
Yep.
That's good. Yeah. So my son started secondary school yesterday, and even though I knew that he didn't have to wear his jumper, I sent him with his jumper, and he managed to lose it the first day. I just left it in the hole. Great. Can you find it? Have you found it? No. So we'll see as the week progresses whether he will find it or not. We'll see. Have you got any year seven starting in your school this week?
Yeah, so I actually saw a few people that I'd taught when I was doing teacher assistant at a primary school.
Oh,
I saw
wow.
some of the year sixes who are now year sevens.
Ah, how cute.
So yeah.
Yeah. I bet you must be so scary for them right now.
Oh, I hope not. No. They should be
Yeah.
more scared of the year nines and tens, I think.
Is that right? Why is
Yeah.
that?
Oh, they're savage. They're savage.
What do you mean by that?
I don't know what it is about those year groups, but they're just they're in that middle stage where they're not quite mature enough, but they're
Mm.
old. They're in that old enough year that they think they sort of own the world, and then they end up. It's not a good mix.
That's funny. So actually, it fits perfectly for our subject today. That they're pretending to be someone, that everyone think they should be, or something along those lines. Tell me a little bit more about this thing. Them pretending to be a little bit bigger than, getting a bit big for their boots or whatever
Mm.
the expression is.
Yeah. Well, I guess one thing I notice in school is I don't know whether it's different or just whether I'm becoming a bit of an old man and I'm seeing things differently. But when I was in year seven, I was like deadly terrified of all of the years above. When I was in year two, I was afraid of year six. But now, I'll have year sevens coming up to me and, um, almost being physical. They
Oh, wow.
really go way out of their depth. And you obviously can't, you're more powerful than them, you know more than them, you're more physical than them, but you can't do anything because they're year sevens at the end of
Yeah.
the day. So I guess years like, 9 and 10, I guess they just have more confidence, but it's sort of a fake confidence, I guess. They're just sort of
Mm.
walking around, oh, I'm a big hard man. I can go beat this guy up, and So I guess it's a bit of that, but yeah.
Fake confidence. That's interesting.
Mm.
So, I mean, tell me more about your confidence. Ian, we spoke about this before, what confidence is. I was talking to one of my clients today about confidence and where it comes from, but this fake confidence. So, where does that come from?
I don't know. I suppose in a school environment, its status means a lot to the people who think it means a lot.
Okay.
And even the people who don't think it means a lot recognizes that there's like the popular kids, and so I guess it's a rat race to um to show you're the biggest or you're the best.
Mm.
Uh, Stuff like that. They just
Okay.
they just want to sort of climb the ladder, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Interesting.
think I can remember, back at school, really, kids wanting to do the same, just wanting to be top. But one of the funny things that used to happen with us on the school bus is all the big tough kids used to sit at the back seat, and that was a mark of a real tough guy to sit at the back.
Okay.
You know?
It's
I
very
just
interesting
remember that.
It starts at the school playground, and unfortunately, as we grow older, we carry that to the workplace. Some people do carry that sort of behavior, mentality, or even ways of being into, workplaces, to places that we interact with people on a daily basis. It may not, of course, come out as I'm a big guy, I can do this kind of thing in these exact words, but it will come as some form of, dare I say, bullying. Bullying isn't something that it may not be that obvious, but it may be actually putting pressure on someone that isn't, very, gently over time, putting unnecessary pressure, and that could class as being bullying. So, which is interesting. So, I mean, why do you think that people do this? Daniel, in your eyes, in your observation,
why people sort of
try to be bigger than who they are and try to,
yeah, I think it's a natural thing. I think it comes down to our biology more than anything else.
Okay.
Whether you talk about this a lot on your thing, I don't know. I haven't heard all of your previous podcasts, so I'm not.
Oh, why not?
I'm
You
not
have to listen.
Yes, I should go back and start now.
Exactly, right?
Episode 1. But no, I think it comes down to biology, and I think it's a natural tendency, especially for boys and men. They do it's competition. You know, if you have a tribe, you compete against other tribes, and I think it's that need to compete, and it's that natural thing that I think society and civilization has destroyed. People don't have that natural competition now. We can't go around, killing the weaker tribes and becoming more dominant of our area. We have to be civilized. So I think, but there's still that yearning to do something like that. So we make a sort of synthetic version of it by putting other people down or bullying them, and we get that sense of achievement through that.
That's right. And when you don't necessarily have the inner confidence that comes from within you, that doesn't require other people's approval and appreciation, if you like, then you try and get that exact same thing by being bigger and better, perceived to be bigger and better than everybody else. And that, of course, is a complete sign of the complete opposite, that you don't have the confidence within. You try and overcompensate by putting other people down. And the other thing that can happen is that people try and overgive to people in order to get that appreciation and approval, because they think so little of themselves. There's perhaps like two categories. One, the big category you just said about people think so much of themselves, even though they don't, but they have this kind of false confidence in themselves, if you like, and they try and overcompensate. They just kind of get on top of people, literally, with like that. And the opposite is that people have so little confidence in themselves, and they think so little of themselves that they give their power away to lots of people. But then having other people come and say you're really great and whatever is the thing that they are seeking for constantly.
I think I might just tweak that. I think you were right. You almost said it. You sort of changed what you were saying. I think the people who big themselves up do actually think little of themselves.
Yeah,
but
they do.
I think the difference is, compared to the people who think little of themselves and look for, gratification through, thanking. I think they have a drive to want to be bigger, whereas the other people don't. So they,
very subtle, very great difference. That's true. That is true.
Yeah.
But very, oh my God, this is going to go deep again. It's the drive to be bigger than they are. One, because one of them doesn't believe that they are bigger. The other one thinks that they are, but they are not. They don't. They think they are, but they don't believe that they are.
Yeah.
That's it. It's a subtle difference between thinking and believing. Yeah.
And I think if you have, real, organic, natural confidence that you truly believe in, and you think, actually, no, I don't need, all these random people who I'm probably not going to talk to in a year. I don't need them to be at my knees, saying how wonderful I am or being scared of me. Actually, I'm just confident myself. Then you don't need to bully people. You don't need to big yourself up, but you also don't need to be a beggar.
No, no.
So it's once you get that true confidence, then I think the problems sort of go away in terms of your own behavior.
It will go away. And the thing is, how do we get that inner confidence? How do we stop asking for that approval from others? How do we stop begging, as you put it, for other people's appreciation and approval all the time? Ian, have you got any thoughts on that?
Well, yeah, I was just going back to the idea of bullying and whatever, and I think that's what people perhaps tend to do is to project their own weaknesses onto other people. So if you're telling somebody that they're rubbish, they'll never succeed, whatever, you could be projecting your own fears or concerns that you have yourself inside that you don't want other people to see.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was just another thought, really, on the topic.
It is true. It is deviating the attention from themselves to other people. But of course, for those of us who are self-aware, is exactly that, the reflection of their inner world into other people and the situations, for sure.
So, I mean, you were asking, how do we get the confidence? I think that was the question, wasn't it? How do you get that level of confidence when you feel that way? I think, you just got one thing is know that you are as entitled as anybody else to whatever, whether that, like at the moment, I'm actually sitting on a bench in a public place. I can't show you, but I'm entitled to be sitting here. So is anybody else. But nobody's come and kick me off the bench or anything and says you can't stand it. We've got to realize we are all entitled to the things, to have good things in life and to be able to do good things and enjoy things. But perhaps people see themselves as inferior to others, and therefore they're not entitled to. They feel that they're not entitled to the same things as anybody else.
Yeah.
So knowing that you are entitled and as anybody else is perhaps one of the first steps to getting that confidence.
Well, yeah. I mean, knowing is a great word, and believing, already knowing that we are worthy just because we are here. That in itself is enough. That we are worthy. We don't need to do anything differently. But how do we become more confident? Is one of the things is that we become more competent at doing something, and the competence comes from practice. And unfortunately, practice makes two things. You can practice bad things and then also make it a habit. So constantly practicing your innermost fearful and horrible thoughts on other people result in things we talked about. You can bully people, or you can try and prove your worthiness to the world, or you can already know that you are worthy and just be your normal self. And in order to do that, you have to unlearn some bad habits that you may have gathered and uncover some of the beliefs that you may have adopted.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah, Daniel, I'm going to put you on the spot now.
Yes.
Why do you think that somebody might start to believe that they are not worthy?
Why might someone start to believe that they're not worthy? I guess if they're not achieving what they want to, maybe they don't know how to achieve it, or they do, but they don't think they're capable of it, or the method that they're doing, they're not capable of it, but if they changed it, they might be. I guess people around them constantly putting them down,
that's good.
might stack up to thinking, oh, well, if this guy said on Monday that I wasn't good enough, and this guy said on Tuesday I wasn't good enough, I really must not be good enough.
Therefore, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Very simply put, it is the, from the moment that we are born, we are starting to have these life experiences, little incidents, if you like, and then even when our brain isn't completely developed, we start to put the two together. An event where somebody praises you for something that you've done, when you smiled or whatever, then okay, if I smile, more people will come and say good things to me. And perhaps when you start being crying, screaming, whatever, throwing a tantrum, and if you then associate that with someone not being very nice to you, then you start to believe, actually, you know what, I'm not a very nice person. And therefore you just continue to believe. And then once you believe something, which means you no longer question the thoughts that you're having about some specific occasion, you're taking it as read, and you continue to believe. And once you believe something, everything else will become evidence of what you already believe.
Yeah.
You know, you said at the very first time you joined us, the self-fulfilling prophecy. If you already believe that you're not worthy, you're going to find evidence externally that you're not worthy.
Yeah, I think yeah, as you said before, you know, whatever you do, it will become a habit. I think practice never makes perfect. Practice makes permanent. So if you practice it perfectly, then it will. But it's I guess we're a bit like dogs in that sense. You know, like Pavlov's dogs. You know, we just associate things with their effect. So I even had it's my first day back at school today, and we had an assembly in the morning, and one of the things was that, you know, we should do good work, but then we should then have reward for it, or we should go get positive feedback. So what they were trying to get us to do was do a good piece of work, and then afterwards, instead of just saying thanks miss, see you tomorrow, actually saying, what do you think of this work? You know, is it good? How could I improve? And then getting positive feedback and making yourself feel good for doing that work.
Okay.
So yeah, it's and then you do it again.
Or you can also learn to reward yourself for the good work that you've done.
Yes, yeah.
And I mean, that's, you know, that's what the school environment is, you know, or even workplace. You want to be heard, you want to be approved, you want people to see and notice that you've done good work.
Yeah.
But our ultimate aim, in order to have the inner peace that we are seeking for, is to have that internal mechanism of great positive feedback for ourselves, as opposed to the self-sabotage. You see, he said it wasn't great. He said, I missed out on this, and therefore I'm not good enough, because you could easily get into the bad habit. But the good thing about our brains and how habits are formed is that we can unlearn the habits that we've formed, but also the mechanism you explained is a very simple one, and it can be applied to anything. So learning good things, learning things that we want to become a habit, like using positive affirmations, and along with this positive behaviors, that we can actually adopt new ways of being as well. Yeah. Ian, you were going to say something earlier. Sorry.
Yeah, I was just thinking that, you know, we believe the things that we're told. We've had the conversation moved on a bit from that, but I was thinking, you know, if people tell us, parents, older members of the family, friends, whatever, tell us stuff that isn't true, it stays with us.
Oh yeah, you're right. And actually that reminded me of something that I was going to say. Yes, we take it as read. If a teacher said you're not good at maths, that's it. That becomes a story that you keep telling yourself. It may or may not be true, and you can get better at maths. It's not like, you know, be an end all. It's not like written in your, you know, life story. You can make a new story out of it, and you can be better at maths. It's just because you, on one occasion, you didn't do well, doesn't mean you're not good at it, and you'll never be good at it ever. But we take it as read, and we just make that our own story. And that's how these bad habits, this is how not good enoughness can form. And you said, yeah, as parents, we have a lot of responsibility to our children. And, you know, some generational stuff that we carry in ourselves, still the stories are still carrying on. And, you know, simple examples of, you know, money doesn't grow on trees, money is the root of all evil, and all these things, some of which isn't even true, but somebody interpreted it in that way. It was their story. It now becomes your story, and carry it on without even questioning. And this is good enough. This is the same thing. And again, it may be because you're comparing yourself with somebody else, and that somebody else has a different life story, a different background, and a different context entirely, and has absolutely no comparison to you whatsoever, but you are making that your story and living with that.
and I think it's easy to believe lies as well, and then it becomes the truth for you in your own mind, and that's kind of what we're touching on today's topic. That are we projecting the truth? Are we living the truth? Are we being true to ourselves, or are we just acting on false things that we've grown up with, false beliefs, false things that people who should know better have told us? And it teaches us the importance of filling our minds with good things. You've said in the past, July, you haven't watched the news for so many years, and you don't want to fill your mind with negative things. You want to fill them with positive things to build yourself up. And I think that's great.
Yeah, and it's true also that you live this false story for such a long time, you start to believe even more, and that becomes your reality. But it doesn't have to be, and it's so you forget who you truly are. Only when you come to another life stage where your deep-seated values start to get challenged and stuff, everything changes. I think, Daniel, you said something about that earlier. You are a bit more, wiser than the year 10s, and you're getting a bit more grown up and stuff. You're starting to see things for what they are or what they are not anymore. So you're becoming a lot more aware. And as you become even more aware as you grow up, as you get older, then, with every life stage, we become more aware of different things that we've never even thought existed before. That's when we start to challenge the status quo, as it were, and try and wonder. And when you actually not feel good in yourself, there's a reason for that. It's because some of your values are started to be challenged. And if any of our listeners are not feeling quite great about where they are in life and searching for something that is different to where they are right now, that is an indication in itself that the start of the change in itself.
Yeah.
I mean, just like your story was, right?
Yeah. I think if you're not happy, move. I think as a saying, I was going to say famous saying, maybe it's not, maybe it is, I don't know, but I think it was one or even two of my teachers said it to me, and it was if you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you've always got.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think that really rings with me. I always did what I've always done, and that was not doing any work, so I always got bad grades. And when I changed that, my grades changed. It wasn't magic, it wasn't some summoning, it was it was through actual change. So yeah, I think for the listeners who aren't feeling happy with themselves or happy where they are, try changing something. Change the way you get up in the morning, change the way you go to sleep. That heavily affects how you feel throughout the day. Look at your diet, explore different diets if one works for you. And maybe it's the worst diet in the world, but if it's making you feel great and you're healthy, and then good for you.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because but most of us also, as we grow older, we get a lot more committed to our struggles and our comfort zone and our circumstances, as I call them. And we get more committed to our circumstances. And as you said, my coach says if you act from your circumstances, you're going to repeat your circumstances. Simple as that. I will do it when never works, because when never comes. There is always going to be something else that's going to come in the way. And if you take the leap on what you want right now and take a different action, the result will almost going to be very different. Almost certainly is going to be different.
Yeah.
So talking of doing what we always do, I'm afraid I'm going to have to do what I always do and say that I'm afraid time is up for this particular episode today.
Yeah.
So unless there's any more closing comments, then...
Yeah, no, I think it's good to leave it at that, because we could go on for another hour.
We could. I guess, we can talk about these.
Yeah, do you want to just sort of rattle off, I don't know, the 3 key points? So
I guess the 3 key points is that we are already worthy. We are just good enough because we are already here. And trying to get somebody else's approval to feel good enough is the wrong strategy, because there is always going to be people who's not gonna like you, is not gonna approve of what you like or whatever. So just have that within, as opposed to seeking it from the outside. And I guess, as we said just prior to Ian closing this off, is to say, if we act from our circumstances, we continue to repeat our circumstances. So if we are seeking some change, we need to do something different. We need to be someone different. Yeah, and I think that's it.
Yeah, I think that sums up very well.
Yeah.
I think so. So, July, Daniel, thanks very much. And we'll talk again next time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.